Hi guys, Marion Emberson here with Wow Embossing Powder and Altenew. Sharing a little project with you today using the gorgeous Blooming Bouquet stamps and dies. I'm going to use the two flowers that you see there in the hello, and the matching dies just make it so much easier. And we're going to die cut a couple of little leaves as well, and I'm going to be doing that on the mini blossom machine, and I just love this, but I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So I've taken just a white folded card, I think it was about 5¼ inches, and then I've just cut a square and perforated just on the edges. So first thing I want to do, and I've just pulled that in, just made it a little bit smaller. The first thing I'm going to do is just adhere it to the front of the card, and then that's in position then. So it's just double-sided tape on all 4 edges and then just stuck down. And now I want to put my word hello on there. So I didn't have an acrylic block to hand, so I've used the mini blossom plate. So it actually makes a really nice acrylic block as such for stamping, because it's like the thicker one, it's nice and thick, so you can, like, you know, hold on to it well. So just like little tip, if you haven't got one on hand, like an acrylic block, then use your plates. It's good when things multifunction. So I've just inked this up in a nice green, and I'm just going to stamp that down, let that ink soak into there, and then I'll just set that aside, and then we'll move on to the next bit. So I've got my Misty. This is absolutely perfect for doing this technique, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to be embossing these flowers with a clear embossing powder. I'll explain it all as I go through it as well, and then I'm going to be sort of doing it again, but adding sparkles, which are just pure glitters. It will sort of come to light as I do it. It's a fabulous technique, and it means you get no shed on it at all. And the 3 sparkles I'm using are Stroke of Midnight, Santorini and Jade, and they just go nicely together. So we're going to do like a multicolour sparkling technique on it. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to ink up my flowers. I do apologise about that light in there, but I'm in boring old England and it's a very grey day today, so I've had to have extra lights on in the studio. So I've inked up with my Wow ink pad. Now this Wow ink pad is a sticky ink as opposed to a wet ink, which means it stays open a lot longer, and it's also fabulous for this technique. It works really well for this. So first thing I've done is just done 1 stamp of it, and then I'm putting clear embossing powder on top, and then I'm going to heat that, and I'm going to heat it from underneath, and I'm going to fast forward it because you don't need to see all that done. So let's just whiz through that. You can just see where it goes shiny, and then this is where your Misty comes in really, really handy. So I'm going to put it back in exactly the same position as I had it before. I haven't moved my flowers, everything's in exactly the same position. And this time I'm going to ink again. So I'm just covering it all with the Wow ink. And then I'm going to stamp it back down. So I'm stamping over the embossed image that I've just done. So I push that down in there to get all that ink on there. There we go. So I'm just going to take that off now. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply the 3 different sparkles. So as I mentioned earlier, sparkles are just a pure glitter. There's no embossing powder in them. So I'm just adding bits of the glitter. So I'm using the 3 colours. So I'll do a little bit in a few places, shake off the excess. I always pop it back in the pot. I usually knock the pots over. Taking that Santorini, and then I'm just flicking that around in a few different places. You can do as many colours as you like with this, because the Wow ink stays open for a long time as well. You can just keep adding. You could do 8, 9 colours if you wanted, but always remember, on the third colour, fill the whole thing up so the whole thing is covered with sparkles. And this is the same technique if you were doing embossing as well. So I'm just going to throw that back in there. And this bit is really important, to heat from underneath, because if we heated from the top, you're going to get little bits sort of fly off that are just sitting on the surface. But by heating from underneath, it's melting that powder that we melted earlier and getting the sparkles to stick into the powder. And now they are completely non-shedding. If you rub them, they will not come off. So for everyone who really, really loves glitter but hates the mess of it and doesn't like the way it goes everywhere, this is just the perfect technique for you guys. So what I'm going to do now, I love this little mini blossom. It's just so cute. I really shouldn't be doing it on top of paper. I don't know why. I'm always leaving my paper down. So I'm going to line up my die, and I generally just sort of eyeball it from one end and then sort of just move it around slightly. If it's slightly off, it doesn't really matter that much. And I'm using like full post-its here, so I've just sort of torn up a full post-it, and then I just use those to stick down because it doesn't overstick. And so this is why I shouldn't have it on paper, because it wibbles about, so it has got a thing where it will stay in place. So sorry about that. It's just, there's something about it. It's like it's very ergonomic. That's probably the best word for it. It's something to do with the handle, and it's just a really nice thing to use. I mean, apart from the fact that it's gorgeous as well, it's absolutely stunning looking. The design on it is just beautiful, and it just looks really nice in your craft room or your studio or wherever you have it. So it's I'd thoroughly recommend it. It's about 3 inches wide as well, so you know, all right, you can't do your 6-inch ones, but when you're doing all these little bits, then this is just perfect for it. You could sit there with it on your lap if you wanted while you're watching telly. And that's the handle is, I'm sure it's the handle that makes it so ergonomic. And like I say, I can't explain it. Just give one a go, have a try and see what you think. And I know you'll like it. So what I've done now, so I've just done 2 for you in this video, but I did actually make some more earlier, but you didn't want to just see me making loads. So there's some more that I've made. I often sit and make lots of, when I'm doing things like this, I'll sit and make a little batch of things. These ones are just inked, there's no glitter on these ones, but then I sit there and I just cut them out and then have them in a bag, and then they're ready to go when you need that quick card. Okay, so I've also cut out, I just stamped and die cut some of the little leaves from that same set as well. There's a single and a double, so I've done that a couple of times. They're really, really nice actually. There's so much to use in this set, it's a really good set. So let's bring the card back that I'd stamped earlier, and now I'm just gonna put it together. So I'm just gonna sort of just eyeball it at first. I always just sort of like put it down first of all, have a little look. Do I want 3 big ones? No, I'm going to go for 2 big ones and a small one. And then I've got some more later. I've got 1 big one and 2 small ones left from before. So just a little bit of glue on the back of the leaves and then just stick them down. I'm also hanging them over from the side as well. So I don't put glue all the way. I've just put it on the base of the leaf. And I want these to pop out a little bit, so I'm just going to put some foam pads on all of these. So generally the big ones, I'll put 3 of them on there because I don't want it to curl in any way. I want it to stay nice and flat. So I'll just position that where I want it. The colour combinations that you can do with this are just wonderful. There's so many different colours. I mean, in the sparkles we do 25 different colours. and all the flowers and flower dies and stamps that Altenew do are just amazing. They'll lend themselves to it. So I wanted to give it another little sentiment under the hello. And this little set is, well, I say little set, it's a big set actually, is absolutely fantastic. It's called Crafty Friends, and there's so many sentiments on there. I'm using the one that says, a crafty friend like you is a gift. And it's such a lovely fine font. And again, I'm using the base plate from the Mini Blossom machine. And I'm not gonna emboss this one. I'm just gonna ink it up with some VersaFine black. Stamp's absolutely beautiful. And I'm just gonna stamp that down directly under the hello. There we go. Pop my lid on because I always stick my elbow in it. And then there you go, there's your card. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Check out Altenew and check out that Mini Blossom machine. It's absolutely brilliant. Thanks guys, bye.